Hello there, my name is Femi Akonde, and you're watching The Big Issue. We all have heard about the frightening trend of sexual harassment in higher institutions of learning across Nigeria. Not all these incidents are reported, so there is hardly a comprehensive record of this social menace. But one that was put on the record was the romping conversation between a lecturer in the Obafemi Awolowo University and his victim. The lecturer, Professor Richard Akindele, demanded to have sex with a female student 5 times before he would upgrade the low mark she scored in the course. Another viral incident is the accusation against a lecturer at the English department of the University of Lagos. This is a new normal in higher institutions of learning. But who is responsible for this worrisome trend? Is it the students that lure lecturers with sex? Or is it the lecturers who outright harass female students and demand sex from them? Who do we blame for this sex for marks syndrome? Should we totally blame lecturers, or should the students share in the blame? Well, it will be an interesting conversation on the show today. Don't go anywhere. This is The Big Issue. Welcome back to The Big Issue. Well, sex for marks. Who do we blame? The lecturers or the students? We have a group of students in the house today, and of course, it's going to be an interactive conversation. But first, let's welcome Samuel Hogan. Take your stand here. Samuel Hogan is blaming the students. He said the students should be blamed for the sex for mark syndrome that, of course, is prevalent in Nigeria's higher institution. Samuel Hogan is a mass communication student from the Lagos State University. Let's a round of applause for Samuel Hogan. And next is Abiola Razak. Welcome, Abiola Razak. Take that stand. Abiola Razak is blaming the lecturers. She's a student of history and international studies from the Lagos State University. A round of applause for her. And of course, we have Shalom Alugwe. Shalom says we should blame the students. Welcome, Shalom. Shalom is a law student from the University of Lagos. And we have Ajibola Kolajo. Ajibola Kolajo says we should blame the lecturers. Ajibola Kolajo is also a law student from the University of Lagos. All right, guys. Some for students. Some say we should blame the lecturers. Ajibola, you say we should blame the lecturers. Why?
Very much.
Go ahead, tell us why.
Assessing the matter at face value, it is one in which you say the lecturer is primarily culpable. And here's why. A duty has been imposed on the lecturer or holder of public office to act in the best interest on behalf of the university, depending on the members of which he's engaging with in the environment. Now, let's take a look at this scenario that could happen in corporate organizations. HR, for instance. HR is meant to be able to employ people on merit based on their qualifications. Now, let's take the situation where the HR then says that he has to sleep with the prospective employee before processing their application and guarantees them certain employment. By that point, it vitiates the trust or duty in which has been imposed on him to make sure that members are employed, employees are gotten on merit, not by any extra parameter that is involved. Back to the university environment now. We take it. The academic environment is one that processes in such a manner where students are meant to be graded based on their academic performance. Academic bonuses could only include where maybe the lecturer, for instance, decides to give a student that engages well in class additional marks, or maybe coursework, or maybe he feels that this student participates well, depending on group work, they could get academic bonuses. And that is meant to be the parameter by which they're graded. But now, the moment we go outside the parameters for grading, and it becomes a non-academic bonus, which could be bribery, money, but in this particular case, sex for marks, the lecturer vitiates the trust reposed on him, because the merit by which the student is now being graded is not academic, and in turn vitiates the entire process.
All right then, good point there. Shalom, let me ask you, you obviously don't agree with Ajibola, do you? So come on.
So I'll start by saying that every institution has a structure. And right now we're looking at the tertiary institution. In universities, there's a system in place. So as regards a student's performance academically, there are rules that are supposed to be followed. Firstly, a student is supposed to read, understand to your level of capacity, write that exam and either fail or pass. Exactly. Now, when a student gets A in a particular course, they say, I got an A. When a student gets a B, I got a B. But when you see an E, they gave me an E. When you see an F, they gave me an F. They gave me a G. Now you're reposing that blame to the lecturer, not yourself. Students these days do not take responsibility for their failure because right now many students are not as academically sound as they're supposed to be. On that note, when you fail, what happens? You become vulnerable. If you think that a grade that was allotted to you is not what you deserve, every school, especially University of Lagos, has due process that's supposed to be followed. You write a letter not to the lecturer who taught you, but you take that letter up to the head of department of that particular institution. The head of department doesn't want to see you personally. You're supposed to do that in written form. So you state down your grievances in that letter and it's supposed to be duly addressed as long as you follow it up. But what happens? There is a system, but we want to bypass that system. Now, I got an F. I know that I deserve that F because I did not study properly. The first thing I want to do is to go directly into the lecturer's office who taught me. And at that point, I'm vulnerable. The lecturer is the master and I'm pretty much the beggar at his feet. So I'm seeking, as we say, appealing, sir, for you to help me upgrade my score.
And a student in that position will do anything.
Anything. So at that point, the lecturer is the master. He has liberty to say, bring this, bring that. I want to sleep with you. And what do? If you want that grade, you have to do it.
I'll come to, but why would you still blame the lecturer?
Well, I'll blame the lecturer for a lot of reasons. Well, every profession has etiquette and the ethics that follows such profession, and that also entails lecturing. Now, a lecturer has several roles, which is to groom a student, which is to mentor a student, and actually teach the student. So irrespective of who seduces who or who tries to lure who into this thing, the thing is that since this lecturer is bounded by particular rules, a particular principles, irrespective of who tried to lure who first, the lecturer is still to be blamed.
Lecturers
for
are not spiritual beings anyway.
Well, irrespective of the fact that lecturers are not spiritual beings or anything, everyone should be, lecturers should be able to get a level of discipline. That is
moral compass.
Yes, yes. So if the lecturer does not have this moral capability or resources, then in the first place, that person is not suited to be a lecturer. Now, when we do our convocations and the likes, we hear haven't been found worthy, both in character and learning. So that means the lecturers are not only supposed to teach us the academic aspect, but also the moral aspect. So when this lecturer actually fails to follow suit, then they are the one to be blamed. Thank you.
All right then, Samuel Hogan.
Okay.
You had her, of course, and you are blaming the students that they are the ones luring these lecturers into, of course, trading sex for marks.
Definitely. One of the problems we have in Nigeria today is that we tend to treat issues like mango trees. And we check the branches. We try our possible best to make sure that the branches are fine, but we do not tackle the root. All this started from the genesis, when students who do not have a particular capacity to actually study a particular course are being given that course to study. all because their parents are capable of buying them the admission.
What are you talking about there?
I'm still discussing here. Now, when they get into their institution, because they do not have that capacity to actually pass a particular course, they intend to buy their way into getting a particular grade because they actually want to meet up with standard. They actually do not want to be evicted from the list, from the graduating list.
Oh.
They actually do not want to have a carryover. They actually do not want to have an extra year. So due to this fact, they buy it through red carpet. And we already know that the only way which most lecturers, it is not the money. The lecturers already have the money.
How about pressure from parents who say, see, when I was in school, when I was your mate,
when I
was your mate, I was top of my class,
Exactly.
I graduated with distinctions, and you must be like that.
Exactly.
And then the students are now under pressure to be like their parents and will do anything to impress the parents.
And because all fingers are not equal, and the parents which were standard, though we know some of them are not actually standard where they were in school, but they intend to do that just to boost the morale.
I hope your parents are not watching.
They intend to boost the morale of the child, just to make sure that you are just there. Okay, imagine a student who is not even capable of studying mass comm going to study law, and they buy their way into their institution.
What of those that don't buy it and get it on merit, and in the course of studying that course, they now realize that they're not capable to perform? What do they call me?
That is when integrity comes in. I believe that every student
It's
in
not a question of
Nigeria
integrity that I'm
is
talking about.
supposed to, you know that this particular course, you're not meeting up. Your grades are falling apart. What happened to integrity in young people?
I'm first
What happened
addressing-
to accepting failure honorably? It's possible that everybody is not intellectually bright, and that is the truth.
Good.
Cutting across all borders,
Exactly.
all levels, all courses, just like he said, you are not even fit for mass comm, and then you're going into a higher call. We all know that, but if you're doing wrongly, why don't you just accept it that way instead of trying to maneuver the system?
Okay, but
Nobody is
what-
talking about maneuvering the system. I'm first addressing it where he took it from the genesis of those not even being qualified. He said that everybody is not qualified. That is the first thing I'm trying to address now. Now that I've addressed that, there might be those that were actually qualified to study the course.
Okay.
And in the course of studying it,
Okay.
they now realized that they were not capable.
Okay.
Now, there's the prospect of now being able to fail honorably. There's the question of integrity.
Okay.
There's the question of all of that.
You know you have failed the course. You are going to meet a lecturer. She has said it all. The normal procedure is for you to actually give, not to see the lecturer visibly, but to actually tender your letters. But you go there visibly. What are you putting on?
Well, I would say that
What are
when
you
every
putting on?
student
That's a question.
I'm still on it. I'm still on it.
So she
What
might like
are you
to
going
answer
do?
the question.
She's going to respond.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, I was going to come from this angle. When every student comes into any university, they try to understand each and every of their lecturers. So even when the student fails a course and go meet the lecturer, that is because the student have understood this lecturer and already I've gotten this understanding that this lecturer is approachable. This particular lecturer.
Wait. There is a relation. I assume that there must have been a relationship between the professor in OAU and the lady. She's actually studying masters. She's a master student. Now, there must have been a level of relationship between the two of them. But she had to meet him for an upgrade of her marks. You understand? She scored 33%. Now you want to upgrade. In this sense, the lecturer is telling, I assume, that had it been the lecturer said, let me have sex with you just once, she will have accepted.
But
and that would have been all.
5
But he said
times.
5 times.
That is to get maybe a B or an A. Who doesn't want a good grade?
She wants a good grade, but
5 times for 5 days.
But she's feeling like, I'm a master's student, and it's possible she's married.
I hope
and
you
she's
read-
feeling like 5 times is too much.
Now, the first thing is that I hope you know that the university has a code of conduct for dressing.
Definitely.
And says that they should dress decently.
Definitely.
I hope you know that whether you enter an office or not, whenever you are, if the lecturer or if the member of staff in the academic environment does not deem what you're wearing proper, they'll probably tell you, please can you go back, please can you come back, or can you go and dress properly. In law, for instance, they'll say if you're not wearing your white and black, please come back to my office. When you're hold on, and hold on once more.
Okay.
Now, the thing is that when you now look at the lecture, by the time you enter the lecturer's office and maybe you want to say, in the situation where you're trying to say that the lecturer is questionable or the girl is at fault and she's making the sexual offer, doesn't that lean back to character where the lecturer is meant to use his moral compass to say, please, I rebuke you, can you go back?
All right.
Wait,
Could you listen?
That's
Could you,
the first-
just listen to me.
Okay, hold on. I'll let you guys go 30 seconds each. Then we'll go to the next segment. Shalom.
The truth is this.
Nothing but the truth. That's
And
what
this
we
is
want.
nothing but the plain truth. The borderline is that every student, this affects both male students and female students, but I mean, the statistics are alarming, so that's why we usually tilt to the females. Every student should be armed intellectually. That's your power, really. If you're armed intellectually, no matter where the wind blows, you will be unshaken. Thank you.
Well, I would say that irrespective of the fact that a student is intellectually strong, hardworking, and all of that, that doesn't stop the student from being harassed by any lecturer. Now, and I will also state that irrespective of what the student is putting on. Now, we are talking about what are you wearing. In LASSO, for instance, we have this indecent dressing. You can't dress this way. You can't put on sleeveless. You can't put on this. You can't put on that. Still, we still have issues of lecturers harassing students. That means dressing cannot even solve this issue.
Even fully covered ladies wearing hijabs.
Yes. So, and I even want to say that let Nigerian government come and say, okay, because of this issue, now every male, every female wear this longer, boo-boo, jalamiya, whatever you call it. There will still be issues of harassment, sexual harassment between students and lecturers.
Okay.
Samuel Hogan, put the blame on the students.
All right. I would like to ask a question. Have you been harassed by a lecturer before?
Yes, twice actually.
And did you accept for sex?
No.
And because we are actually placing, there's an huge difference between harassment and you going in for sex for marks.
Thank you.
So
Thank
did you fail that? Sorry, did you fail that course?
Well, mine was even a different case. Mine was, yes, mine was the issue of we missed an exam. I and some of my colleagues about course. So since it was very legal, like it was just because they moved the timetable without informing us. So we just walked up to the lecturer in question and we tried to talk to him and all of that. But what most of my colleagues just went behind like, see, Shebi is just zero. And the 3 in this course, but personally, I just couldn't let it slide. So I still went further, went to meet him. Okay,
that's what she's talking about.
Yes,
put yourself in that position, you become vulnerable.
Because we went further because we wrote a letter. We wrote a letter. So what we were supposed to do is keep going back to check how far your letter has gone. So what happened was, when this man started making his advances, I understood, oh, this is what he wants, and he can't get his way. So what I did was, I left the mark, and I left. So the issue is that, should your inability to zip up now be my own problem as a student? Hello?
Your inability, I have to respond to that.
I think
Okay, well, I think we'll take a quick break at this point, and when we return, we'll continue with the rest of the program. You're still watching The Big Issue. Welcome back to The Big Issue. Well, sex for marks. Blame the students or blame the lecturers. And of course, our panel of debaters are doing their best to... Well, it's been an interesting debate, I will say. And I would say, let's go on. We were listening to...
Organ, yeah.
We're listening to you before we went on that break.
Okay, I was actually asking her a question. If she has actually been harassed by a lecturer before.
And she said, she answered yes to that.
And I asked her, did she actually give in?
He has answered
Said
that.
no.
You actually gave in?
No.
Or you did not? Okay, why didn't you give in? It simply means that you must actually be very intelligent. Now, you made a statement. You said that the reason why you had to go meet the lecturer back for that particular course was because you failed to perform your duty as a student.
Very well.
You failed to attend a class, you failed to attend the test, you failed to attend the exam, and you failed to do everything in your capacity as a student that you are supposed to do. Now you are telling me that you went back to the lecturer to actually ask him to do what he had done for other students, and you're asking him to do it to you as an individual.
But I think this is there
Definitely, he is not. He is not just a man.
The manner in which you are coming in is one where that prevents students who are actually victims of sexual assault from communicating. Calm down, calm down. Now you analyze it.
She went back to the lecturer.
Okay.
To ask him for that mark.
Listen, the thing is,
all right.
Let me say something. At this point, members of the audience, if they have any question, contribution, or don't further buttress a point, they are allowed to just, with a raise of hand, indicate, and they'll get the microphone. Let's go on with our debate.
Okay. Now we seem to forget that there are some particular set of students, ladies especially, in their institution, which we call slave mamas and slave queens. And what do they do majorly? Yes, you might not know because you are a law student, and in law faculty in every school they intend to dress corporates, white and black.
Too, slave lawyers.
Yeah, but what about the other faculties that do not have that uniform? For instance, in Masscom, we don't have a uniform. You dress the way you want to be addressed. Now, for you to have gone into a lecturer's office, you dress the way you want to be addressed.
Okay.
Now, you don't expect
Interjection from a member of the audience.
My manner of dressing is my own way of expressing myself. And you should, in fact, I feel if you go outside the country, be amazed at what they wear to their classrooms. It's only in Nigeria I know that, okay, even to be called to bar, there's a dress code. Other societies have gotten rid of it by now.
All right, then.
So don't limit your argument
Thank you.
to Nigeria alone.
Okay.
We're competing with the wider world.
I actually understand what you're talking about. Take, for instance, the one that happened in Lasun. Yes, the lady...
Abiola Shalom. Ajibola, you all agreeing with him?
She's actually very good. She's actually very sound. She's a lady, I know her very well. She's a lady who you don't just try to deal with her in any form when it comes to academic, because she's always there. She's sound. She tells the lecturer, sir, I can't fail this course because I did this course this way. This was the question you asked. This was the answer I gave to it. So now you now accept someone like that. She could stand for herself.
There's another.
Very nice. I like the fact you
we
said
have an
that.
interjection from a member of the
Not
audience.
everybody
I like
can
the
stand
fact that he
for
stated
themselves.
that this lady is actually very intelligent.
Exactly.
And she's very hardworking.
Exactly.
And despite this lecturer still made advances at her.
Very much that she was assisting the lecturer in his book.
Marks. We are talking about sex for marks.
I'm a last white. Many of you here are students. Many of you have graduated. For whoever is not a student and you've not graduated, you're going to get into university one day. On campuses, we can all attest to how my colleagues dress. For you to be sexually aroused, it has more to do with your emotional feelings or your mind. But for a man, any man out there would not argue this with me. It is basically and majorly physical. All you have to do is see something.
What you can see.
If we all narrate the sequence of his argument, it boils down to dressing. Now we're going to peg just dressing as a reason for sexual assault. If we're not going to peg it to only dressing,
that's one of the factors.
Calm down. That's one of the factors. You say it is physical. Why can't a lecturer say no? If he's looking for something, there's no action at home. Why can't he go to action outside? Must he find action from students? What are you telling me here now? Why now?
Okay, let's listen to her.
To buttress this point, let's just imagine the
Go ahead.
Let's just imagine the penalty for sexual harassment and sex is actually death, like death by hanging or death by the balls. I don't think,
by the what?
But I don't think any of these lecturers would actually want to. Now, so irrespective of the whole body no be firewood and thing, irrespective of how much their emotions, that's what we are talking about, emotional intelligence. They should be able to control themselves. If the penalty for such act is actually death, none of these lecturers will not be able to control themselves. So talking about the body, how they feel, physical, whatever, it's just out of.
So what's the
All
student?
right. Another interjection from a member of the audience. Okay. But again, a wise man once said that the best way to fight temptation is to yield to it. I don't know why they say he's a wise man. Go ahead.
First of all, I'm going to start by objecting your point. I'm going to object it because the first thing I don't want us to do is mention dressing as a reason, because dressing has nothing to do with it. First of all, the school I go to, I had a problem with my course one time, and it was summertime. I went with my friend. She too, she had a problem with her course. And it is so hot. It is very hot outside. She wore bomb shorts. and the man saw her.
Are you kidding me?
Excuse me, she wore bomb shot to a lecturer.
Are you
That's
serious?
interesting.
I don't. Sorry, please. Excuse me. Wait, I don't understand. So because I'm going to see my lecturer, I
What
should
does
be
the
able to.
dress code of your school say?
A lecturer's
My
office.
school doesn't have it. Sorry, excuse
Wow.
me. Sorry, wait. Let me
Go
just
to
finish my
Lagoon Front,
point.
you
Let me
see them
finish my
more.
point. My school doesn't have a dress code. This argument is one-sided. Not every school has a dress code.
code.
My school doesn't have a dress code. The man should be responsible enough to know that he should not limit it to my dressing.
You should be
That's the reason
responsible
why I
enough.
said, let's take it back to the Genesis.
You need to be
Teach your
responsible
child the
enough.
way you want her to go, and
Responsi-
she will not depart from it.
The world is evolving. Let's not think in a one-sided way. Let's not think in a one-sided way. If a lecturer wants to force a child, a girl, a person, a student to have sex with her or with him for him to give her marks, that means the fault is the lecturer's fault. It's his fault. It doesn't have anything to do with
thinking
dressing.
in a one-sided way
wants to
or
respond.
in a double-sided way. You've always heard
Microphone,
that
please.
if you go to Rome, behave like the Romans. I'm just trying to think that your school is in Nigeria. Why are you wearing a bomb shot
That is it.
in a formal institution to see your lecturer? I think that was you crossing the line.
Okay,
you
hold on. What
or your
about-
friend.
Wait, hold on. You talk about being in Nigeria.
Yes.
You see, Harvard is the apex of academic institutions.
Okay.
The moment you are faced with any form of indictment, the moment you are faced with any form of claim, you are automatically put on administrative leave. Go and
Okay.
look at Professor Dominic Gers. He
Okay.
had been there for decades. When the claims came, when the claims came, then he was told to go on the leave while the investigation was pending. Now, boiling back to Nigeria, if we're talking about a school like Harvard, what is the University of Lagos? What is LASU? What are academic institutions here?
Your
Fine,
point
they
exactly.
hold strength. Now, my point is this: you can't talk about it and bring it from one angle and say when you're in Rome, behave like the Romans. When you're in Rome, you're behaving like the Romans. You're talking about dressing. That means it's one-sided. That's what you're trying to tell me. That the lecturer is now going to the office. The moment the lecturer goes, the moment the student
My point
goes to
was
the
that-
office. Wait, I'm not done.
For instance, you dress in a certain manner and you're going out and then you see a wali or an imam who feels that you're dressing one way or the other he finds it offensive. It happens. We've seen situations where people are mobbed because of the way they dress. Because that's what I'm like, maybe cultural peculiarities could be why she is saying that when
We
you're
all
in Rome,
have to be aware
behave
of
like
cultural
Romans.
peculiarities.
Yes. Now,
we are in
if we're
Africa,
using, if we're
actually.
going,
We all have to be
We're in
aware
Africa.
of
We are
cultural
in Nigeria.
peculiarities.
Culture is our way of life.
okay, very much. Culture
Nigeria.
Culture is our way of life. Now, you see,
Well,
when you
how
see
were you
somebody that's
taught?
indecently dressed, when
You should have not dressed this way, actually,
let's go
when you are
with-
coming
let's
to
say,
this place.
Let's say bomb shots
Where
for...
does self-control come in?
Yes.
Exactly.
Let's say based on
Your
if you are-
self-control.
Self-control.
Exactly. If you are pegging cultural peculiarities and saying bomb shots is indecent dressing, in quote, fine. What do those that object to it say? Please get out of my office. Please don't be around me. The women that are against younger ladies dressing that way will say, look at how she's dressed. That's not right. That's not that. That means that any lecturer that yields into that automatically is interested, and as such has done the first thing that I said he shouldn't do, which is abuse the trust that has been instilled on him by the university.
The students, I always said it starts from the students.
How?
It starts, your lecturers are not wired. Your lecturers are not robots. These days, a lecturer needs more than human. In fact, they need spiritual fortification.
Wow.
Yes, to be able
That's
to actually
interesting.
keep their heads high. So if
What do you mean by keeping their heads high? Don't speak in
if
parables,
your
please.
dress code says you have to be, we know the definition of decency in this place. We know decency doesn't transcend to bomb shots. We know decency doesn't transcend to sleeveless. We know what decency is. So why are you going out of board?
Decency might be different from my own
Definition of decency.
All right, before we define
You can't apply it.
I'll take a quick break at this point, and when we return, I will continue with the rest of the program. You're still watching The Big Issue. Yes, we're having an interesting conversation with students of the University of Lagos and, of course, Lagos State University. And the program is still the big issue. Well, some of them will be sharing their experiences with us. Who has the microphone? All right, go ahead. It's what's funny. Come on.
I'm sorry. All right. So first of all, this is not my own personal experience.
Yeah.
It's a friend of mine's experience. Now, this is someone who is, I won't say he's so muscular, but then he works out. He's an athlete. So he had an issue with, I think, registration of his courses online and all that. So he went to see his course advisor, who is a female course advisor, who has this reputation of being frustrated and always carrying out her frustration on the students. So he went, and the first time, she didn't even, listen to him. Now, he did not go there, at least according to what he told me, he didn't go there with a tank top to show off his muscles. He went there with a shirt and shoes and tie. So it's not like she had anything that she could look at and say, oh, come, let me sleep with you.
Come on, but you can't hide your biceps. If you've got it, flaunt it.
So he had to wait outside her office, and she left and she came back, and then he entered and he was begging her, and she was like, okay, so what exactly is your problem? And I was like, there was this course he accidentally forgot to include it in his registration, and he wanted to take the exam. So the long and short of it is that she offered to have sex with this guy. And this guy was like, the woman is not that fine. She gets. So this guy declined, straight. He didn't even think about it. And the woman was like, okay, the only key to having this course registered and writing this exam is that you sleep with me. Anything short of that, you are not writing this exam. And he was a final year student.
Wow.
And it was his final semester.
Wow.
Someone that had been planning how his graduation would be. He did not register that course. He did not write the exam. The following year, when he had extra year, this woman now was the HOD of that department.
Wow.
She made the same offer. She was like, is this not you? You are here again. This guy still said no. And then she was like, okay, then you have yet another extra year. And it was when he now went to tell his people that I think maybe someone in his family, they're now like, maybe you should just succumb and just have sex with her. But he did not. He refused to do it. And I don't know how
did he eventually
I don't know how
through?
he eventually resolved it, but I think he
Has
managed.
he graduated today?
Yes, he has. To the glory of God.
Wow.
So
And the shame of the devil.
And shame of the
so my point is that people that I think students have a choice. Do you understand? It's not compulsory that a lecturer asks you to sleep with them and then you now say, because I want to pass or because I want to graduate, you now demean yourself. Because at the end of the day, some of these lecturers are slides. You will lose your grade and you still lose your integrity and you still lose the way you think.
Yes.
So it doesn't make sense. It's better to just say no and fail honorably.
All right, then.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's hear another person's. Okay, she's right next to you.
First of all, I have to tell you that what a man wants to do starts from his heart. It's not just what he sees. The eye the Bible is talking about, I don't think it's the physical eye that we see. First of all, we have a mind of our own. And I think a mind is enough to do the damage. When the Bible is even talking about sex, it says, he that looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery or fornication with her. So he doesn't have to even go into, you're wearing shorts, you're wearing this. There are lecturers that are attracted to some type of body types. Some lecturers just see fat girls and they are so into them. Some see slender girls and that's what they are into. Sorry, maybe they married a slender wife and then over the years she has been used and overused and has become something else. She no longer satisfies them. So whatever they see outside attracts them. So it's actually way far from how you dress. Dress how you want to be addressed. I can still see you now, and if my aim is to actually have sex with you, if you like,
To round up.
put on 3 suits, I will still do what I want to do with you. So it actually goes beyond dressing.
All right, let's.
Okay, so
all right, quickly.
I would like to be neutral here.
Yeah.
Because like he said, the dressing actually goes a long way. Men are actually moved by what they see. That's plain fact. But still, you're a lecturer. You're put there with ethics, like she said. You're put there with ethics. You're leading you're grooming the future leaders. If you don't put your ethics into play, what would the people you're leading see and follow?
All right, go ahead.
So I just want to say, sorry to be religious, but even Jesus Christ was tempted. Satan showed him the beauty of the word, but he said no. Yeah? So I feel even if I come to your office with bikini, there is something law called locus parentis. Every lecturer is your locus parentis, meaning you were serving in the capacity as my parent in school. And it means that if at home a lecturer that has a female child is not sexually attracted to his child because I wear boxers at home and my dad will not tell me that he wants to rape me. If I can do that at home, my dad probably is a lecturer. He comes to lecture, and why is it not like you ought to know that it's not about my dressing, it's just about your decency and how disciplined you can be by virtue of being.
All right. You respect that locus parentis. Why don't they know that? Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to say this as passionately as possible. Personally, I belong to the school of realism. I'm a realist, and in Nigeria, just very few people have had the guts to challenge the system. Flowing from Mayowa's story and Abiola's story, one thing is in common. The student did not meet up with her responsibilities. You said your timetable was moved without your consent. That is the time to show academic radicalism by challenging the institution. Yes, before now, everybody was always scared of challenging the institution, but I mean, flowing from the hijab case, 12 months ago. Can you see where that is going?
I would say that.
And flowing from Mayowa's...
It's not about academic radicalism or anything. Who says we never tried to do something about it? But these same people that came together to have a meeting, are they not still lecturers? Are they not still groups of friends? Don't they still have the same mentality? Come on, it doesn't work that way.
Flowing from Mayowa's story, his friend, or whoever that was, failed to register your course. I mean, what does that say about your seriousness to your academics? We can agree that it was a mistake or there was an oversight, but practically going down there, why would you fail to register your course and you want to write that exam? That makes you vulnerable, like I initially started saying.
Shut up. There are students who also want it easy. And they throw themselves in the face of the lecturers,
Definitely.
of course, to lure them. There are
Definitely.
students like that, and it's common on campus.
Firstly, in the academic environment, there are clearly more students than the lecturers. So that means that the ratio is far from being even.
Okay.
Now, the thing about it is that these are activities that happen behind closed doors. You will not commit a crime if you know they are going to catch you. Now, a lecturer has his office, you come to his office, whatever happens, whether I came to offer the sexual favor to the lecturer or the lecturer was the one that made the advance to me, it still boils down to one thing. The lecturer is in the higher capacity to reject the advance because he knows what he has at stake.
As he said, why can't the lecturer actually stand up and say, no, that is wrong, I don't want that happening right anywhere near me? Okay, you might not reply that sometimes it may be because of what the student is wearing. But as Abiola had said, she has been sexually harassed by a lecturer. Now, please, why exactly were you? Was it something that anybody would say is indecent?
It wasn't because of what
It's because she found herself in a vulnerable position by not doing what she was supposed to do.
Finding yourself in a particular position. Now, listen, this is a matter of even the lecturer in question not doing what they are supposed to do.
Exactly.
Now, if at the right time you posted the timetable at the right time and at the right place, then there is not going to be any issue. Moreover, it was not just one student challenge. Two students,
So could it
three
be
students.
a institution by the lecturer to attract?
Exactly. Very good. There are some lecturers.
Or to attract
people
the
like you.
members of the
The
class.
question is,
What about lecturers
did it
that will
affect
tell
only
you that?
you?
No. What about lecturers
What happened
that
to
will tell-
others?
What happened to others? The question of
Did
what
he
happened-
ask everybody else?
See, that's where the problem is. Why
That
should he
where
pick
the problem
only
is.
her?
Pick only
Why?
me.
What did
Because
she
what he
do?
wants.
What did you do wrong?
And exactly, another reason why he picked me was because I was one spearheading the lead for the change of the result.
That's why you should challenge the institution.
The institution, what are the people in the institution? Are they not members of
Hold
staff?
on, guys. Come on, a round of applause for our debaters. right, we'll take another quick break at this point, and when we return, it will be time to take it home. Woo. You're still watching The Big Issue. Gentlemen, your last take on this debate, sex for marks. Who do we blame? The lecturer. Gentlemen and ladies, I beg your pardon. I'm a journalist, and of course in the media we say gentlemen of the press.
Anyway.
Huh?
In law, it's all gentlemen.
Oh, in law, it's all gentlemen. All right, gentlemen, in no particular order, let me start with you, Abiola.
Okay. Well,
30
I
seconds.
still stand on the fact that the lecturers are to be blamed. So irrespective of what the students are wearing, or irrespective of what the student does, the lecturer should be able to control himself. And every student come into the university as a raw material, as a raw, unfinished product. We come to university with the aim of this university refining us so that we can actually add value to the society. But most times what we have is just like cassava. When you bring students into the university, some of these lecturers just refine them in another way, devalue them. So when they now get to the outside, they have no value to offer. You now have more of sex workers than productive workers.
Wow.
No. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that the lecturer should actually try to zip up. Then the students, please close your legs.
All right then. Lecturers, zip up. Students, close your leg.
Okay, from my perspective, I believe, yes, it's a debate and we actually know the truth, but we want to eat from it. And the fact that we want to eat from it simply means that we want to blame the lecturers for everything, forgetting the fact that the students are actually to be blamed, majorly the females among us. We know that the fact there is that you have your decisions to make as a lady. We've had several stories of people not accepting whatever the lecturers must have given to them, but they actually just stay against the lecturer. Why don't you stay against the lecturer? Why don't you let the lecturer fail you? Why don't you walk to an higher authority? Why should you open your legs for the lecturer to have his way?
All right then, a round of applause for him. Ajibola Kolajo.
Very much. Once again, I'd like to say that the lecturer is primarily culpable for any engagement for sex for marks. And this is the reason. The lecturer still has the primary duty of ensuring that whatever action he carries out, he has to do it within the confines of academic prescription, that is letting them get their grades according to how they perform. Now, the moment you vitiate it and you go outside and it has to become sex for marks, whether it is the student offering the advance or is the lecturer offering the advance, the question is this: we can never say why that consent was given. If I gave the consent because I willingly offered the advance, or if I gave it because I was scared to fail, or if I failed, or if I had a problem and I gave in, the thing is that the moment that happens and we can now allocate the blame to the student, it leads to so many gray areas. It prevents oiling the machinery of justice, right? Because this student that did it willingly, what of the 1,001 students that didn't do it willingly? What of the 1,001 students that were coerced? What are we going to talk about their interests? There are so many people that are scared to come out because of the stigma, because they are afraid of intimidation, in systems that don't favor them, in lecturers that keep on going higher and higher, and lecturers that pass the rank and nobody stops them. It is totally unfair. The ratio of justice from the lecturer to the student is far from being even.
Shalom, your time.
Flowing from what AJ said, the truth is Lady Justicia has not fully taken her place in the educational institution. I mean, these issues are issues that should be easily handled.
What's stopping her?
Through the relationship between students and course advisors, the guidance counseling units, but we all know how effective, in quotes, those are. But really, the point is, I mean, I'm all for the women in Nigeria and all over the world. You have to know your onions. You have to be intellectually armed. You don't go around putting yourself, asking for incriminating assistance and putting yourself in sticky situations. If the worst comes to worst, preserve your integrity. Exactly. Thank you.
Preserve your integrity. A round of applause for our debaters. Well, that's how it has been on The Debate. A very interesting conversation, sex for marks. Who do we blame, the student or the lecturers. But here on The Big Issue, we urge everyone to act right always. My name is Femi Akonde, and you can follow me on Twitter. My handle is @Femi Akonde TVC. You can also follow TVC News at TVC News NG. Enjoy the rest of your day. You're still watching The Big Issue.